So, are webinars still big in 2026? Short answer, yes, they are. But there are a few things you need to know at first before trying to make one yourself or hiring some kind of agency to do it for you. What really are webinars? Well, a webinar is basically a online seminar. You take, for example, a platform like Zoom. You got people in there. It could be 10 people, 50 people, or even a few thousand people. And this is the first part that I wanted to mention is webinars are very high risk, high reward. On one part, yeah, a lot of people can get to know you, build some trust and potentially buy from you. But at the same time, if you're bad at presenting, you don't have a big budget, and you cannot keep your energy up for at least 40 to 90 minutes, they can also ruin your reputation. So, like I said, a lot of moving parts. You've probably seen Creator College. They made more than $1 million off of a few webinars, and a lot of influencers are still running them because they work. They're great, but if you don't know these steps and you don't implement them in your webinar, you're just gonna waste a lot of money. If you're launching one, please take note of everything I'm gonna tell you, and I hope it actually helps. So let's get into everything you need to know to run a webinar in 2026? Well, first thing you need to understand, paid ads is one of the most important parts into a webinar. If you don't have a budget and you don't have campaign like built out for these ads, it's not worth doing a webinar. Yeah, like big ones that are really successful, like Creator College, they invest tens and thousands of dollars into advertising. If you have $200 to your name and like, I want to launch a webinar, don't do it. Maybe a few people will only show up. Also, this goes hand in hand. You need an existing social media audience. It's really hard if you're just starting out on social media. You barely have any followers, you get low engagement, and you want to do a webinar. It doesn't really go together. And this is a thing that a lot of agencies will pitch that, oh my God, you're going to do this, is going to be amazing. If you don't have an audience, if you don't have the budget for paid ads, it's not gonna work, because webinars are great if you need to build a lot of trust. You have, for example, a really big audience on social media, like 10,000 or more followers. You combine that with ads and a good budget and a good ads creative, and you can really, really, really boost those numbers up. Obviously, a big one is Zoom webinar subscription. This is also a separate thing. You need Zoom webinar. It's like a different subscription pack that you need to get. The basic one costs, I think it is 79 pounds a month. This will allow you to have at least 300 people in your webinar. If 300 people show up, you can always upgrade to the next level, which is 500. But this is another thing that will cost you money to actually set it up. There are a few different apps. We used Zoom webinars. It has a Q&A feature. It has like active chat. Another thing, go through the settings. So important part. You have to go through the settings, because if you want to have a live chat on your Zoom webinar, you need to find a box, tick it. What I'm trying to show is all these different parts, because each one of these is a separate video on its own. Like, this is a pretty huge topic. What you also need is a high converting registration page. It's basically a landing page for the webinar. It would have some kind of VSL in it, a registration form. People go in, fill out some data, sign up. This is also important. It needs to give people enough information to actually want to sign up. For the landing page, I would suggest just making it on Go High Level. If you have Go High Level, do it there. Kind of also a really important part, you need to have a reminder sequence set in place, not just a simple one, like, oh, you're in, here's your link, add it to the calendar. But all of the emails and SMS messages that are going to be sent out, they really need to be engaging. You need to drop a lot of value in these reminders. Because one thing we have to remember about webinars, okay, let's say 100 people signed up. Let's make the numbers easy. 100 people signed up. Well, realistically, if you have everything in place and a good reminder sequence, maybe 50 people will only show up. If you don't have a thought out presentation, that's visually appealing, you have the presentation skills needed, most of these 50 people then are gonna drop off. So you need to keep them engaged, keep them, wanting more, wanting more. Like, you need to have a great presentation and really, really good skills behind it. 40 minutes to 90 minutes, the longer you can make it, the longer you can present, the better. And it really needs to be psychologically thought out when you're making the presentation. It needs to be like, okay, if I was a viewer, at which part would I get bored? At which part should I add some kind of hook? At which part should I drop the thing that I'm trying to sell them? You need to do a ton of research before going into any of this stuff. Obviously, repetitions. You need to practice doing the presentation. Like, okay, one part is the back end, the reminders, the ads, the content that will be pushed out. But I cannot emphasize enough how important the presentation part is. If you're confident in yourself, I'm gonna be good, I'm gonna present it on the spot, big chance that people are just gonna fall off. Like, will you watch something that's at least 40 to 90 minutes long? I really doubt it. And you need to have it like really engaging. So practicing is a must. The next part is a professional camera and audio setup. When you're presenting, you need the quality to be crisp. You need the fastest internet possible. The audio is fine, the camera is great, because half the time you've got the presentation, okay, and then you probably have like your camera on the side, always recording you so people can watch you. And if it's grainy, if it sounds bad, if everything is not in place, people are gonna fall off. The retention is gonna drop like crazy. So that is also one part you need to think about. Obviously, you can do this by your own, but I would also recommend a team monitoring the chat, the back end of it while you're presenting, so you can throw people out. If they're being rude, if they're spamming some kind of links in the chat, you can throw them out. You can do this by yourself, but if you're presenting, this will shift focus. So you kind of need someone in the back end, always keeping track of things going on. And for the final part, once you have gone through all of these steps, set everything up, actually presented the whole webinar, the whole presentation, there is always the post-webinar follow-up sequence. What does this mean? Well, it would be great if you can sell your service, your product while you're live. It would be awesome. But in any case, there is a chance that a lot of people who are willing to buy can also buy later. So if you have a post-webinar follow-up sequence in place, you can keep in contact with them for the next following days, and there is a chance that you can also sell them on something, maybe something low ticket or high ticket, because in any case, some people just need to think about it. So after all of this, I'm pretty sure you know the reason why I told you in the beginning. My webinars are high risk and high reward. A lot of moving parts. And before you try to actually do it by yourself or get an agency, go through all of these steps and understand if you actually need it and are you ready for one. And one thing I did forget to mention is advertising usually happens at least 7 to 14 days before the advertising part. You need to get everything ready before you start pushing people to sign up. You need to have everything in place. You need to have the webinar subscription. You need to have the landing page, the thank you page, the email reminders, and okay, the presentation, you can make it while advertising, but still, it would be great to have everything ready before you start. And it takes time, and you really need to think about the advertising angle, how you're going to do it for organic, for ads. And yeah, altogether, it's really not a simple thing to do that you can just throw together in one day. So if you found this useful in any way and you're really considering to actually launching a webinar, look in the description. There's my personal Calendly link. We can jump on a call, go through everything you have at the moment and see if you're ready for one, because you can make a lot of money from these. You just have to be careful and have the right system in place.